Aristotle was both a student of Plato, remember the justice guy, and the teacher of Alexander the Great, remember the Macedonian badass guy.
I did not know that.
So already this is interesting, right? We are political animals. Aristotle believed that the ultimate aspiration of human beings was to live a good life, a life of virtue, a mean between extremes. He also believed that this sort of life was only possible through active involvement in political life. This is because we are by nature social and political animals. Human life depends upon social interactions, from the biological pairing necessary to propagate the species to the highest order of political decision-making. The 6 forms of government. Using the logic and discipline of a scientist, Aristotle developed specific typologies of both good and bad forms of government. Good forms of government are those that operate in the interests of all. Bad governments operate only in the interest of a single individual or class of people. Among those he considered good, he lists monarchy or kingship, the rule of the wisest individual; aristocracy, the rule of the wisest class of people; and polity, the rule of the many. The corresponding bad forms of government are tyranny, a monarchy corrupted by the self-interest of the ruler; oligarchy, aristocracy corrupted by the interest of the wealthy minority; and democracy, polity corrupted by the interests of the poor majority. The middle class. If we consider Aristotle's emphasis on the good life as a balance or mean between extremes, it's not surprising that we see him speaking of the virtue of a strong middle class in a good political society. Particularly important to the polity, the middle class represents the balance of class interests, the mean between the rich and the poor. Why not, since the middle class includes the poorest of the rich and the richest of the poor? Without a strong middle class to moderate between rich and poor, Aristotle seems to suggest that a successful polity is unlikely. The proper constitution of society would be out of balance, weakening the government and leaving it vulnerable to corruption, either by the interests of the wealthy few, the oligarchy, or those of the poor majority, democracy.